Okay, so over the weekend, the Conservative Party in Britain got a new leader. Olukemi Olufunto Adegoke Badenoch.
Bless you.
Is not Gesundheit. Yeah, is the new leader of the Conservative Party and His Majesty's opposition, and could potentially be the Prime Minister.
Maybe
in a few years' time. I say potentially.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly, the leader of the opposition now is this quote unquote first generation Nigerian immigrant. I say quote unquote because I think there's some confusion. Jimmy Carr did this. He talked about how he was a first generation immigrant because his parents came over from Ireland. Well, that would make you a second generation. I mean, Kemi was born here. Wikipedia says she was born in Wimbledon, but nonetheless, she refers to herself, which we'll see later, she refers to herself as a first generation Nigerian immigrant. So whether it's first or second generation, either way. Okay, so let's play this clip.
Therefore, I give notice that Kemi Badenoch is elected as leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party. I welcome her to the stage, and it's great, isn't it great that we've got another female leader?
The first thing
isn't it great that we're the first party to have a black leader?
The time has come to tell the truth,
so stunning,
to stand up.
Shut up. Yeah, so it's literally the first thing the boomers say. Oh, look, it's a black woman. That's what matters more than policy.
All clap for the black woman.
That's
Yay.
what happens more than tradition and anything else. What matters more than anything else is that she's a woman and black. And that is about the size of it, isn't it? It speaks volumes about the Conservative Party membership, the rank and file membership, because they had a choice between Robert Jenrick, who was coming out with some base things, whether you believe whether it was all real or not.
He was the first elected politician to mention the word remigration, wasn't he?
Yeah, he said some base things. He said that the civil service should have a bit of a clean out and stuff, and he did say quite.
It's not that we should necessarily take a politician looking to become party leader at face value, of course, and I know you agree with me on that one. Just saying that to preface it, like we don't necessarily believe anything that comes out of a Conservative politician's mouth, right?
After the roaring success of our UK election coverage, we are indeed doing another massive Lotus Eaters livestream to cover the US elections on Tuesday, the 5th of November. We will have a giant roster of guests, both in the studio and remotely via Zoom, and we will be live streaming on Rumble, so we'll be able to say exactly what we think, no holds barred. Do tune in, it's going to be great, and hopefully we'll be ringing in Trump's second term, or perhaps we'll be having a massive meltdown. Who knows what the future holds. See you then.
As I say, I don't think Jenrick... I've said before already, I was on record as already saying I don't trust him, don't believe really what he was doing there. Like Trump in 2016, just saying crazy, it's kind of crazy, out there right-wing things, because that's the angle you would have needed to differentiate yourself from his opponents in a leadership race. It's sort of what you do. It didn't quite work for Jenrick, because Badenoch won. But, that's what the Tory membership decided they wanted. Seem happy with it. The question is how well that will play at the next general election, whether the general public want the head of government to be a Nigerian woman. Now, the question is she Nigerian or British? That's the big debate, isn't it? A lot of people say, of course she's British. She's as British as you or I, or maybe not Stelios. Proudly Greek. No, she's as British as Churchill. Well, we'll see later that she herself doesn't say that, but
she's as British as Boris Johnson, perhaps. Who's not?
I think a good way to talk about this issue is to talk about the different categories in which these terms are used. Because, for instance, we could have the ethnic category, the cultural category. We could have all sorts of categories. So when people are saying I'm English or I'm not English or I'm British, what kind of identity is it? Is it ethnic? Is it civic? Is it cultural? I think people are throwing words without qualifying what they mean. That's why this discussion is just bound to lead to confusion and just,
I think people's concern from the writer Badenoch is that it seems to be that in politics, just as much as in ordinary life, people's ethnic in-group informs how they treat other people. And so having someone who is not would not identify, she says as much, right? She describes herself as Nigerian, with the native British population, makes people concerned that she's not going to have the interests of the native British population at heart. And it is possible for someone to do that, but I think it makes the likelihood greater if they are of the same people. And this is, of course, something that, if you go outside of the Anglosphere, is commonly understood and is really uncontroversial, and is supported by a wealth of psychological literature that shows that people treat people who are genetically proximate to them better than those who are more distant to them. That's uncontroversial, and people are worried because, of course, in Britain, in the UK, the native population are second-class citizens to the new client population that's been imported in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as Stelia says, there's lots of different layers to the onion, right?
The old onion comes up again.
And so it just the ethnicity. I mean, she's Yoruba. Both her parents were Yoruba. So ethnically, that's what she is. But some people, left-wingers usually, multiculturalists, just sort of refuse to accept that. No, that doesn't matter. That makes no difference whatsoever. She's just British. She was born in Wimbledon. She's got a British passport. That's it. That's all there is to it. And other people saying, oh, no, wait, actually, maybe that's not necessarily the best way or the only way to look at it.
Because, of course, identity is not just, a culture and values. There's an ethnic component to that. And part of the reason that I wanted Kemi to win the Tory leadership is that I think people are well aware of this now. This has gone on. The genie's out the bottle. You can't put colour blindness away now. And so having Kemi as the leader is a step in the right direction for destroying the Tory party, because
with any luck,
fewer and fewer British people, ethnic British people, are going to vote for someone who is from an out-group. That it sounds a bit harsh, but that seems to be what's going on, and people are fed up about it. Also, she's, of course, I don't mean to steal your thunder here, very much pro mass migration, and you saw with Rishi Sunak, who is Indian, the major group that came into Britain were Indians, and they wanted more Indians. In fact,
celebrating Indian
holidays
Diwali in number 10, sort of immediately, and all that sort of thing.
Can I ask something about this?
Yeah.
How can she be on the one hand pro mass migration and on the other go out and say not all cultures are equal, which is something I agree with, the latter part? How can she go out and say this?
Well, it's just not consistent, is it? It's just saying whatever you need to in any given interview to try and win.
And the Tories want to communicate the idea that they want her in order to diffuse criticism from the left.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. That's the major thing. Tory party members are just terrified of ever being called a racist, and they can say, look, our leader's a black woman, so I can't be racist, right?
They're judging themselves through the paradigm of the left, and that's how you lose. If you accept the left's rhetoric and judge yourself by their standards, then you've already accepted them and lost. But you've conceded ground to them by doing so.
So to make it clear that we're not just being complete, unnecessary, paranoid bigots, we look at some of the evidence from Kemi herself. She considers herself African and a Nigerian and all those sorts of things. So first of all, just a few headlines from the mainstream media. The Guardian there just saying, revelling in her win. Sky News, who is Kemi Badenoch? It's a bit late to be asking that now, really, isn't it? Who is the Tory leader? From the BBC.
I like how it says, what does she stand for? Shows a picture of her sitting down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just tickled me.
The Telegraph.
Childhood in Nigeria to leader of the Conservative Party. It's a story of the average Briton, that is.
Great British story. Yeah.
I was living in my African commune.
Retters. It's the first black woman to lead the UK Conservatives. That's the main thing, right? That's what they're so happy about. Doesn't matter where her mind is or what policies she's going to push or anything like that. Don't worry about any of that. Again, Politico, it goes on and on. But so here's one tweet from her where Chuka Amuna
This was 2016.
made
by
a
the
tweet.
way.
Yeah, this is really old.
Mhm.
But she says, sorry to spoil your fun, Chucker, but the first Nigerian is already on the London Assembly, and she's Conservative.
Oh, stunning and brave.
So referring to herself there, when people say, if someone on the right describes her as a Nigerian,
Mm-hmm.
and they say, that's beyond the pale, you can't say that, she's as British as Churchill or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go, in her own words. I mean, right there, it's just a slam dunk. To win an argument, to say that, she'll do that, but then go on, when she's speaking to Laura Kuenssberg or something, now, she would say, God knows what she would say.
Politicians say what they think people want to hear, my goodness. Pinch me.
But there you go, that's just a slam dunk right there, isn't it? So here's a clip. I think we've played it before, but we'll play it again.
Everyone
Thank
needs
you,
to hear
Mr.
it.
Speaker. As a first-generation immigrant, can I welcome the Home Secretary's statement, which I feel this immigration white paper is a move from the 20th century to a much better future immigration system. In particular, I'd like to thank the Home Secretary for removing the annual limits on work visas and also on international students, both of which I lobbied for on behalf of the Wellcome Sanger Institute and Anglia Ruskin University, which serve my...
Oh, well done. Oh, well done. Removing the caps on immigration from a first generation, in her own words, first generation immigrant. So,
That's
brilliant.
not just supporting it as well. She actively lobbied for it. So she seems to have an ideological position in support of mass migration.
So, again, it's not just pure racist paranoia from people that have got concerns. It's right there it's a matter of record.
She said it herself.
She said it herself in black and white in an old tweet there. Just Nigerian, okay. Here pointed out that she's, as her time in government, has made sure that business and trade with Nigeria goes ahead, just specifically. So again, the idea that she wouldn't have any bias towards at least her parents' country of origin. Again, it's just not up for debate. It's just there as a matter of record.
It's not that I'm necessarily against, trading with people, but it does seem that the fact she took an active role in this, I know she was Business and Trade Secretary at the time, but is it not a conflict of interest there to do these sorts of things? If Stelios was, the dictator of Britain for whatever reason, and then all of a sudden all we're allowed to serve is gyros, I mean, I'd be pretty happy, it's nice. But we would be asking questions about...
I love fish and chips.
Yeah, Stelios, you're all right, don't worry, I got you. But we'd be asking questions like, well, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Why are you erring on this side? Oh, wait, hang on, we know why. And it's silly that people are just blind. It's okay to be from these various cultures, but don't pretend to be something you're not. It's silly.
Yeah. And so all sorts of people jumping on the bandwagon. Ex-Home Secretary James Cleverly is obviously looking for a place in the shadow cabinet. He's loving her win, saying that male, pale and stale, that Labour are male, pale and stale. Mm-hmm. Just an outright sort of racist and misandrist thing.
Just hating on white men, isn't it, really?
Yeah. And so that Josh Firm off Lotus Eaters said, clowns, browns and pronouns.
It's not bad, is it? Whoever said that, they've got a good sense of humour.
The Firminator off that Lotus Eaters channel. Okay. So the big question is, will people really vote? Will the main majority of people vote for the Tories at the next general election? Oh, there's one other from the Independent that she made a rape joke on social media ages ago.
That's terrible. Anyone who makes jokes about that sort of thing, that's awful. And never again. No, I'm joking, of course.
She said something about the Drummond beer rape incident. I don't even really know what that is, nor care. So the big question is, how will the Tories do at the next general election? I'm hoping for sort of truly 0 seats next time.
I don't think it's going to help them, is it? Because migration was the key issue of the last election, and this is completely tone deaf to the views of the electorate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Electing a mass migration candidate. So it's basically just, do you want red, yellow or blue progressivism? You've got all these different flavours. Yeah.
Teal. There is the teal option.
I think they're centrists at this point.
Well, yeah. So I mean, Rishi was sort of roundly rejected, really, wasn't he? Essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was their worst defeat ever. Is it in centuries?
At least
One of them.
At least since the 19th century.
And people say, sort of, with the Tory boy contingent, that always Tory people say, oh, well, you're just going to keep giving government back to Labour unless you let the Tories back into power. Well, I'm of the mind of so be it, because there's no real difference. I don't see any real difference between somebody like Starmer, or if Starmer is removed, for somebody like Lisa Nandy or Angela Rayner or something. I don't really see any real difference between them and a Badenoch government. They're going to be doing essentially the same things. So, no, I would like to see 0 seats expanded to include both Labour and Tory.
Here.
But you know, I'm not up for getting Kemi in order simply to remove Starmer. I don't see that dynamic as a win in any real way.
It's like replacing a scorpion with a deadly spider. You know, both just as dangerous. Sorry.
No, what I was going to say is that she seems to be giving entirely mixed signals about where she stands on issues about multiculturalism. You can't be pro open borders and against multiculturalism. Doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
This is the main contradiction. Now, I mean, it's too early to tell how this is going to happen. I think most probably, if that was close to elections, it would probably backfire. But I don't know now, because it's we have 4.5 years at least.
Yeah, still a long way to go.
We really don't know. We really don't know. But
I did see Zara Sultana calling her far right. No, I actually replied to that by saying if Kemi Badenoch, who's pro open borders, is far right, what does that make me? Because I'm against that.
Yeah, she
like,
said.
Well, I'm ultra mega giga far right.
Yeah, she said Kemi Badenoch is one of the most nasty and divisive figures in British politics.
That's me.
Downplaying racism to Islamophobic.
I don't see how she can be those things, because she's black and a woman. It's not. That doesn't.
Yeah, you can't be nasty
know.
and divisive if you have those two demographic criteria. Didn't Zara Sultana get the memo?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, anyone who plays into multiculturalism is divisive, the way I see it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Anyone who even hints that they are positive towards multiculturalism, you know, in the abstract, without ever talking about which cultures we're talking about, yeah, they are divisive.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, hopefully, our opinion and views and take and angle are quite clear, but to give Badenoch some credit, some small credit where it's due, when they were in government, she was quite strong on sort of the trans kids thing, and women's toilets, unisex toilets and stuff like that.
She was anti-woke, wasn't she? Is how it'd be
give her credit where it's due, right?
Yeah.
In that small corner of baseness, she was strong on that. But I think most people, certainly, I care almost nothing for that, and I care about the borders and our actual demographic replacement on the broadest stage. And on that, I just don't trust her. I don't trust her to do the right to keep us safe, or to re-migrate the few million people that are here that shouldn't be. Just got no faith that she would do that. So, well, neither Labour nor Tory will be getting my vote, and obviously not the Lib Dems.
Agreed, yeah.
So we'll see what happens. All right, there's that.
All right, we've got a couple of comments. Would you like me to read them for you, Bo?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Of course. Keith Kaiser says, Yenrik... I don't know why I keep on calling him Yenrik. It's because his name looks Scandinavian or something, with the J, doesn't it? Jenrick was the lie the Tories pushed to pretend to be more right-wing to claw back voters. We saw through it, and they bailed and chose the black woman. Expect Reform UK to win the next election. Well, it'd be nice to see, wouldn't it? I mean, it would be a rightward shift in the Overton window, which is entirely occupied by the far left at the minute, including the Tories. Inexio says, the magic Wimbledon soil must have made her ethnically British, according to leftists. She already shown she does not have the British at heart, given her voting history in Parliament on immigration. Hear, hear. Right. Take us away with the video comments, Samson.
Regarding the longboats I brought up at Ladsauer, yes, that is a real thing. In the city of Roskilde here in Denmark, they build longboats like the Vikings did, meaning no technology is allowed. Then every spring they sell one of the longboats, again the old-fashioned way, to Dublin, and it is then at exhibition at Dublin Museum all summer before making the voyage home to Denmark at fall again. And they actually have been doing this in the 70s. It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
That is very cool.
Really good. They do it every year, did you say?
Mm-hmm. New boat every year.
That's incredible. And to go from Denmark to Dublin, I assume around the top, they might go down through the Channel.
Going
I
through
imagine
the North Sea
over the top by the
wow.
Shetlands and the Orkneys. Yeah, that's some serious seas.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that.
Ocean.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, the North Sea is no joke. But that's really cool. They look very, very similar to the boat, or the outline really of the boat that was found at Sutton Hoo.
It does.
It's very, very similar to the Sutton Hoo thing, which is incredible.
They're very impressive boats as well, particularly when they were sort of contemporary. When they had, was it a really long plank in the middle that bent so the ship didn't destroy in rough waves? It's all very clever.
To have navigated the North Sea in a really shallow draft thing like that, that's ballsy.
Mm-hmm.
It's really ballsy. In completely fine weather, okay, fine. But in any sort of chop, I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to do it.
I've gone sailing in clement weather, and even with small waves, you know, it can throw you off a little bit. I mean, I'm not the best sailor going, but still.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Well, I've been hearing a lot about how we shouldn't bring up voter fraud because it'll suppress conservative turnout, but I'm not sure that's the case because I talked to a lot of normie cons and they're not really that concerned about the fraud side of things. Like, they seem to just think taking part in any form of local politics is like a deeply sinful interest. And this is weird because they're like really big on democracy and think it's the greatest thing ever. So it's kind of odd that they refuse to participate in any way. I'm kind of curious where this whole worldview's even come from.
I've not even heard that, to be honest. Everyone I've heard from has just been saying, yeah, you should go out and vote.
I believe that. I haven't completely given up on the process, even if it is fractured and, well, broken. I think it's throwing the baby out with the bathwater at this stage. Again, to go to the Roman Republic, to completely abandon it, and it's just street gangs, like government by a mob. I think we're still a long way from that. And so I wouldn't... but there is a contingent of people, you must know them, that just say there's no political way out of this. People say that on Twitter, don't they?
Well, yeah, they're basically throwing it before they've even had a chance. And I also think that voting purely on the basis of sticking your middle finger up to the regime is good. You know, I like to signal that I don't comply and vote for the party that is most outgrouped to them.
I mean, I think that especially when we're talking about republics, for our republic to go on, it must seem to people as if it's about to be destroyed, because you want people to be vigilant. It's easier to have a vigilant cabinet when you have a monarchy, let's say, but if you want a republic which, you know, has its pros and cons, you need a vigilant population, and most people need to think that it's about to be destroyed for it to carry on. Otherwise, they're not acting as if they have to be acting for the republic to continue. And I think that's also that Machiavelli says something like that. He says that if you look at the fuss of the Roman Republic, you may have thought that it was going to be destroyed any minute. But that's actually what kept it going.
Didn't Cicero say something along those lines as well?
I think so as well. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
The thing is, I feel like it is true that democracy belongs to those who turn up.
Yeah.
Right? And if you just opt out, if you just don't turn up, well, then you've done your enemy's work for them, because they don't care. Like someone like Starmer, for example, will form a government on 17% of the vote or something. He doesn't care. It doesn't matter. He's got a mandate in his mind, or has technically.
Well, the best thing
got a mandate. He doesn't care that you didn't turn up, that your protest was to just disengage from it all. Doesn't care. He's going to form a government anyway.
Yeah. And also, I mean, if you don't show up to vote for your candidate and against the one you think is going to be destructive, you sort of lose the right to complain much about it afterwards. I mean, everyone has a right to complain. Yeah, that's not exactly what I meant.
I know what you're saying.
It's just, okay, yeah, you are complaining, but what did you do?
Yeah.
It's like all bark and no biting.
Yeah.
All talk and no action.
Also, boomers tend to turn out and vote, and the one thing in the UK that seems to get protected from getting cuts to it is pensions. You know, pensions are sort of the golden goose, because all the people that receive it go out and vote because they got nothing better to do.
I think Bo and I have an allergy to doomerism, which I think you also have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, we're the anti-doomers.
I try to be.
Yeah.
You try to be where possible.
I'm very cynical about the future, but I just don't think we should give up, because I think
I'm the same.
Yeah, I think cowards give up, and that if you surrender your own homeland because you don't feel like it, I don't want to turn out at election day,
Or it's already lost.
it's pathetic. Yeah, beyond contempt. If you would like to watch the full uncut version that is also uncensored, head on over to lotuseaters.com to find out more.